Hello everyone and welcome to another casual review. Today we're talking about Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. Fun fact, this was actually my first PlayStation 4 game because this came bundled with the PlayStation 4 that I purchased. I had never played an Uncharted game up to that point when I did initially play it, and so that's why I can tell you that you honestly don't really need to play the first three Uncharted games necessarily. I think they do a pretty good job of referencing the past events for those games, but also making this its own individual story. That being said, I have gone back and played Uncharted 1 and 2. I need to get to 3 eventually at some point, but I do think that my experience playing through Uncharted 4 is elevated having played the other Uncharted games because it provides a lot more context. Our main character is a man named Nathan Drake, and he used to be a seasoned treasure hunter. Think kind of like Indiana Jones, but a lot more National Treasure vibes to it, I'd say. Anyway, he's older now, he's settled down, he's married. It's not necessarily like Kratos from God of War super old man, but he's definitely not in his adventurous youth anymore. The call to adventure is always looming over him though, and you can definitely tell that internally he's not quite ready to settle down with the regular life. And so I think that internally a part of him is actually pretty excited when his long lost brother Sam shows up and provides a lead to find Captain Avery's lost treasure. This is a pirate from a long time ago, and when Nathan and Sam were younger, they were really striving to uncover this treasure, and it just kind of didn't end up happening because Nathan was led to believe that Sam had died. So Sam returns alive and well, and he says that we need to go find this treasure because this cartel leader is after his life unless he goes and gets that treasure. So you can imagine it's a typical national treasure kind of hunt. You go to this one country's ancient bell tower because you have a lead there, and then it leads you to a different part of the country, like over in Madagascar, and you get a lead there, and then you're basically just going from country to country as you learn more about Captain Avery's past and his many pirate followers. While you're doing this, you are going to be solving these ancient puzzles where you're interacting with these tombs and rotating lights to line up with other symbols and your typical run-of-the-mill Indiana Jones National Treasure type of puzzles. There are variables, of course, because a lot of this stuff is really old and some of this stuff falls apart, and so you kind of have to improvise how do you navigate these puzzles. Same with the platforming as well. Video games of this time, and probably of modern times as well, but video games, I'd say starting in the PlayStation 4 era, are really obsessed with climbing. They really want you to climb a lot of things, and I feel like this started with something like Assassin's Creed, where you're climbing towers, these watchtowers all the time, to Horizon Zero Dawn, where you're climbing dinosaurs. Even Legend of Zelda got in on the climbing business, and so Uncharted is no different than those games. To be fair, I do think there was climbing in Uncharted 1 and 2, so it's not just following a popular trend, but I would say that the climbing in this game is significantly better than climbing in other games that I've played because there does seem to be a little bit of strategy. I feel like something like Assassin's Creed, you're just kind of mindlessly moving upwards while tapping the A button and your character will just kind of climb naturally. But in this game, there's actual pathways of ledges, and when you reach out with your hand, you can kind of tell what you can leap onto next. Occasionally, you do have this rope that you can tether onto objects, and so they do lend itself to some swinging every now and again, which is always a good time, I guess. I don't know, I'm still I'm just kind of over the climbing in video games at this point, and so I do feel a little jaded towards that kind of game mechanic, and there was a lot of it in this game. Luckily, the climbing is usually when the game provides more context and dialogue. You're frequently going to be accompanied by a partner like Sam, and the climbing segments are usually when Nathan and Sam talk and catch up, kind of like flesh out their relationship with each other. And so I guess it is a good way to get you to be doing something while you are listening to this dialogue. And I guess it is kind of fun climbing around these like ancient ruins, and the visuals themselves are still really good. Despite this being like an earlier PlayStation 4 game, I think that the visuals in this game are absolutely stunning. Like, if I was to define a cinematic video game experience, this would be one of my prime examples, because it seriously feels like you're actually playing through a movie. So visually, you have these huge set pieces of these giant tropical islands or these underground ruins. And don't get me wrong, there are a ton of like actual cinematics where you're just sitting there watching, which can feel like they run a bit too long in my opinion, but I think that these cinematics are needed in order to provide that movie experience. Some of the action set pieces are just amazing. Like, everyone references the train scene in Uncharted 2 where you're like climbing up a train that's falling off a cliff. This game has a ton of those. Like, you're trying to run across a building that is slowly falling down to the ground. You're being drug along by a car as you're shooting bad guys. And there's so many like visually exciting action set pieces, as well as more of the quiet scenic set pieces. So there are some bad guys, of course. There's definitely like a shooter aspect to this game. You're obviously like not the only ones that are searching for Captain Avery's treasure, and so you are going to be basically going against an army. As far as like the gunplay goes, you're going to be rotating the two guns that you hold. Sometimes I do wish I was able to hold more than just two guns, but I think it is, the gameplay kind of lends itself to that run and gun, pick up the whatever kind of gun the last guy you killed dropped, and deplete all the ammo there before you rotate to the next one. It's more of a hide under cover and shoot type of game, kind of like Gears of War, I guess. Enemies aren't afraid of throwing grenades at you though, so it's not very easy to just camp in one spot and snipe all of the bad guys. You are going to be moving around quite a lot. I do think that the gunplay in this game is fairly engaging. It never really felt like too easy, or it never felt overtly difficult. Don't get me wrong, especially late game, there are some times when I just kept dying and I did start feeling a little frustrated, but really like most of the time that I did die in this game, it's because I thought I could make a jump and I can't, or I thought I could leap down from a ledge to a platform below me, but apparently that was just too much height. It's like the platforming in this game, like sometimes Nathan can make these incredible jumps across this area, or like jump down to a lower platform, and other times if like the game doesn't intend for you to go in that area, you just like automatically die. And it's not a big deal because this game is very generous with its checkpoints during the gunplay, during the platforming. It's not a big deal, but it is kind of frustrating when I'm like, yeah, I can make that jump, or yeah, that's where they want me to go, and it's not, and then I just immediately die and my partner is screaming my name. Oh no, Nathan! There's also stealthy combat scenarios. Think kind of like The Last of Us, but a lot quicker paced. The Last of Us is very gritty. You're choking a guy out and you get to see him breathe his last breath. Like, it is tough and it is prolonged. It takes maybe, I don't know how long it takes to choke a guy out in The Last of Us, but I want to say it's at least like 5 or 6 seconds. In this game, you just run up and you just, it makes the sound like when your back is popping and they're just down and out. And so it's a lot quicker and snappier. Other times, like if a guy's near a ledge, you just kind of like kick him down. They do allow you to tag all of the bad guys that you see as you're like sneaking around in the overgrowth, which kind of helps you keep tabs on where they are at all times. I just don't really like have the patience to take out a whole room super sneaky anymore. And so usually what ends up happening is I take down maybe a third or a half of the bad guys, and then somebody inevitably spots me, and then I'm in a shootout at that point. That usually usually worked out. Like, usually could shoot my way out of a situation of getting spot, but by the end of the game, there are so many army dudes that I eventually just had to, if I ever get caught, you have to go hide again and make them lose sight of you, and then go back to patrolling, and then you can sneakily take out more guys until the room becomes more manageable. Because seriously, like, by the end of the game, these guys have like sniper rifles and shotguns and grenade launchers and RPGs, like they're all firing at you. So it's definitely not the type of game that you can just hide behind one barricade and take all these guys out one at a time. Like, they will flank you, and they're not mindless NPCs. Now, as far as collectibles go, there are a lot of treasures that you can find. Like, if you're exploring a tomb, maybe you pick up like a little coin and you can like rotate it between your fingers or whatever. This does unlock extras in the main menu. Gotta be honest, didn't really interact with that kind of stuff. But if I did find a little sparkly glint somewhere as I'm exploring the game, then I definitely do go pick it up and kind of check it out. Sometimes Nate will make like a little remark about it. He has a journal as well, so if you encounter like points of interest, usually it's like dead guys with notes or whatever, you do open up your journal and sketch some notes. Sometimes you take the letter and you fold it and you keep it in your journal. And gameplay wise, this lends itself to some puzzles. Like, sometimes you'll find like a note that will teach you how to interact with different tiles in a puzzle, for instance, and so you do have to open up your journal and kind of like reference that as you are doing the puzzle, because you're kind of like you're trying to see what the rules are of the puzzle. There's also like optional conversation pieces. Usually your partner is just going to go like, wow, what a view, and then you have the option to go up and talk to them about it. Sometimes this provides like more context between like your relationship with this character, which is nice. Sometimes the game feels more linear, like, hey, you're just going down this hallway as you're shooting down guys, or you're sliding down this mountain and trying to navigate the mountain. Other times it feels more open-ended, kind of like you're given a vehicle with a winch and you're like driving around these muddy plains as you are having a lot of options in terms of like what you go explore. There's not any like RPG mechanics here. You're not going to be leveling up or gaining experience, and so the main reason you'd want to go off the beaten path here, I think, are for these collectibles and these optional conversations if you're trying to 100% complete the game. There's even some like puzzle elements with this car that you drive around. Like, sometimes you need to wrap the winch around a tree stump in order to help you get up like this muddy hill, or sometimes if you want to like pull down a wooden beam in order to navigate to the next area, you need to kind of like pull it down while you're going in reverse with your vehicle. I don't know, sometimes when you're driving a vehicle in a video game, it can feel not that intuitive, but I do feel like the driving in this game was actually fairly enjoyable to navigate. It was pretty fun, like going across the wilderness. There's like no roads or anything like that, and so you're trying to like navigate up this tropical mountain, and it almost feels like a puzzle in itself. It's an exciting, adventurous romp. I think it's very fun. You do get the same feelings as if you just sat down and watched an action adventure movie. But there are some more human moments, obviously, because these characters are never going to always enjoy each other's company. You're going to be making decisions that other characters don't necessarily agree with. And so there are human moments alongside the action adventure swing around with your grappling hook while shooting the bad guys and solving puzzles to unlock treasure. It's not that long of a game. It took me 12 hours. That's with like a non 100% completionist run, but it is still a little longer from what I remember of Uncharted 1 and 2. Again, it's been like years since I played those games, but it did seem a little bit longer than that. The statistics in this game are like oddly specific as well, which I really enjoy. Like, this is how long you were hidden under cover. This is how long you spent in the air. This is how much you traveled in a vehicle. This is how many bad guys you killed in explosions. I do think it's fun when video games provide statistics like that when all is said and done. I don't know, I feel like I've really undersold the cinematic, adventurous spirit of this game. There were rarely any times when I felt bored. It really always felt like, hey, I'm gonna put in an action-adventure movie and I get to be the main character, and that was always a fun and energizing experience. And so I really think that this game deserves that 5 out of 5 score because it sticks with you. The characters, the set pieces, just the moment-to-moment gameplay all really stands out. And I'm surprised how well this game holds up, both gameplay-wise, visually. In a lot of ways, it just feels like a more modern game. And I guess that's probably because the jump between PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 isn't like that noticeable, but I do feel like this game really holds up. Well guys, that's it for me. Let me know if you have any questions or comments about Uncharted 4: A Thief's End, and I'd love to hear what you have to say. Otherwise, I'll talk to you later. Bye!
Hey there, little guy. How you doing? Hey, you like that? Huh?
Power.
Yeah, but Sully, come on, it's a lemur. Come on, come say hi.
It's all right.
So cute.